My name is Ramsey Sadaka. I am a second-year doctoral student in composition at the University of British Columbia. The actor project, as I understand, deals with analyzing orchestral scores based also on perceptual phenomenon, composing pieces based on these findings as etudes, and then collecting all these findings to create a theory of orchestration that will also be used to teach orchestration to others. My role in the actor project is to be a composer, writing an etude for a quartet that will be replicated in various halls to see orchestrational effects, how those carry into different environments. The instrumentation of the quartet uses bass clarinet, trombone, violin, and percussion. And as far as I understand, vibraphone in the percussion will be used across different quartets that are composed. But in addition to that, I'll be adding bass drum. The aspect that most interests me in writing for this ensemble is the wealth of timbral variety that's available to me. I'm curious to see how that will be used to define the form of my piece and what processes that I can use to transform from one timbral area to another. The biggest challenge for me is how I will handle the trombone, just because it can so easily overpower a chamber ensemble. Orchestrationally, there's a reason why there are maybe 2, 3 trombones in an orchestra and then a whole sea of strings. But I'm well aware that it can work in a chamber context if used correctly. I think about my work. I coached an ensemble on George Kurtuk's The Little Fix, which uses piccolo, trombone, and guitar. And I feel like if he can make that work, I can make my ensemble work as well. Most of what I've been thinking about so far includes more group-oriented orchestration. I haven't thought so far about the soloistic aspect of the instruments, but in the group idiom, I would like to explore pitch-wise and timbre-wise how these instruments can overlap. Much of my music deals with blending of instruments, and so this is a real challenge for me. It's also another challenge that there are 4 very distinct instrumental families in this quartet, and I will be curious to see how I can combine them into a cohesive whole. As I said before, I'm really curious to see how these instruments can overlap pitch-wise and timbre-wise. So I do plan to explore areas of pitch, but also non-pitch elements. In my sketches I've developed so far, I plan to use sort of airy, brushy sounds that all 4 instrumental families are capable of making, and seeing how those can overlap and sort of fool the ear as to who's making what. In wanting to create a blend between instruments, there are certain techniques that are much easier to create on other instruments than others. So obviously making an air whooshy sound is much easier on the woodwinds, and trying to find a way to replicate that on the violin or in the realm of percussion will be the biggest challenge. Though in what I've sketched so far, I think it's possible. So in working with this ensemble, we will have a reading session coming up later this month where we will be able to collaborate with them, try out some sketches that we've composed, and see how well these work, or maybe how we can reconceive them in a way that works better. This is a little different from how I usually compose, in that I have a very fixed idea of what I want to do. I essentially write it all out and then adjust as needed with the individual. But with this, it's more of an ongoing process where I can take a little bit, show the ensemble, and there's more of a back and forth instead of just showing them a complete finished product. I'm also a TA for the ensemble that will be providing our players, so I've already had opportunities to say, oh, can I hear this sound, or what is this like? Is that easy for you? So I've already had the privilege of working with these players in a more consistent basis. I think I'm most excited to be contributing something artistically that can also be used pedagogically. I think a lot about the pedagogy of composition and how we can reach something that can be more closer to what happens in performance, where we have set etudes and we can work towards this specific idea, as opposed to sort of we have our own ideas and it's more about us realizing our own ideas. I'm really curious to see how this will be used pedagogically to build up somebody's foundation for orchestration.